Hi, I'm Manda McKay. I'm a professional artist and I'm making these creativity tips to help you become the most creative version of yourself. And you don't have to be a professional artist, even if you're just starting with a creative hobby, these tips are meant to be helpful for everybody. Well, this tip is actually inspired by the monks walking for peace. Hopefully you've heard about them, and if you've lived in the southeast United States, hopefully you had a chance to catch up with them like I did. But one of the things that they speak about is mindfulness, and I'm sure you've heard about this a lot. Mindfulness, where you're basically living in the present moment and you're paying attention to things like your breathing, what's happening around you, and just very much being present. And for this tip, I'm going to say why you can't be mindful all the time, or you're probably not going to come up with any creative ideas. So again, about a week ago, I saw the monks, and at one point, they were actually, the route, believe it or not, said that they were going to come right through these exact woods right here, which they didn't because there's not a road here, and that would have slowed them down. But they came within a few miles of here, and so I saw them speak, and they did talk about mindfulness, and then I caught up with them on their walking route 3 different times, and let me tell you, they walk really fast. And they're being mindful of the experience the whole time, and it's almost like a walking meditation. But mindfulness, so it is something I try to do, and honestly, I'm just not very good at it. Now, when I'm lucky, if I'm painting and I'm not having a ton of distractions, which is rare, I can manage to get into the flow state, which I guess is really a heightened sort of mindfulness, where you're working on some kind of a project maybe, and you are so focused on it that like you're not even aware of the passage of time. And that's actually kind of rare for me, and I do think that that's a little bit of a high bar to strive for. But mindfulness, I mean, if you can practice it in your day-to-day life, that's great. But I do think that a person like me, who tends to have difficulty being mindful and staying in the present because their mind wanders and they tend to daydream, is also a type of person who tends to come up with a lot of different creative ideas. And in fact, so the monks did inspire, I guess it was like a day or two after I saw them, and I was just walking and thinking about how I need to be mindful, I need to be paying attention to what I'm doing and living in the present moment. And that's where I got the concept for this creativity tip, because I realized my mind is wandering, but hey, I immediately thought this would be a good idea for a video. And if I had been able to be truly mindful and present, I wouldn't have thought of that because my mind wouldn't have been wandering. So again, I would say definitely don't beat yourself up if you have trouble being mindful or just meditating and quieting your mind, because like I said, I've struggled my whole life with that. I even had a 3rd grade teacher who would have us meditate every day, which was extremely radical for that time. And I was terrible at meditating, and my mind would just wander and I would daydream the whole time, which I'm pretty sure is not what I was supposed to be doing. But Mr. Buckley, you tried. And then, I don't know, more recently, I did kind of feel bad that I was having so much trouble being mindful. And it's like, okay, just focus, just spend 1 minute focusing on the moment. And I agree with the monks that I certainly personally need to do that more. But again, I do want to say that if you never let your mind wander, you're probably not going to come up with creative ideas. So if you really are into mindfulness and meditation, at the very least, I would say set aside some different times where you can just think of different ideas and let your mind wander. And I've talked about this in other videos where you just set aside time to generate ideas. And that's helpful if you are a person who tends to really be focused and living in the moment, and being mindful all the time. If that is you, and I'm surprised if you, like, I'm impressed with people who are naturally like that. But if you are like that, be sure to set aside some time where you don't have to be mindful and you can just let your mind wander. And that's when you're going to hopefully come up with some creative ideas. So again, thank you to the monks walking for peace, and I totally agree with absolutely everything that you said and everything that you stand for. But if you are wanting to be more creative, definitely don't be mindful every single minute of the day. So I hope this video was useful to you, and if you have a chance to see the monks, definitely see them. And again, my name is Manda McKay, and thank you so much for watching.